Please do not listen to this recording whilst driving or operating any machinery. Hello there, my name is Ellen Booth and I'm a registered clinical hypnotherapist. And this hypnotherapy is about resolving drug addiction for adults who were sexually abused as children. And when I say resolving drug addiction, it's to help resolve drug addiction. There's no guarantee that this therapy will work because those who were sexually abused as children carry such an immense pain and suffering that sometimes you just cannot remove the drug addiction because the addiction is just too powerful because of their suffering. And if you took the drug addiction away, then they would not be able to cope or function with their lives. Now, I am an adult survivor of child sex abuse myself. I was sexually abused as a child. And I myself have suffered from alcohol addiction, and this hypnotherapy is for drug or alcohol addiction, and I've suffered from alcohol addiction myself, and that's all I'm going to say on that matter. But when I made a full recovery from the childhood sexual abuse, I found that I was able to let the addiction go because I no longer had that suffering anymore. But I was still doing it, and I asked myself, well, if you're not suffering anymore, then why are you still doing it? And the answer to that can be that because you've always done it, it's your way of a cop-out when you've had a stressful day or a long day at work or a hard day, you've worked really hard, or you're stressed or upset about something and you turn to the drugs or the alcohol because you've always done so. So it can be habits. It can also be recreational. It might not just be because of the suffering. It can be because you actually like what you do, you enjoy it, you get recreation out of it. And when you stop the drink or the drugs, you miss it. You're like, hang on, I missed that, I enjoyed that. But what you'll find with most severe excessive addictions is that to the excess that it actually is, you rather wish that you didn't, because it's excessive beyond the point that it's not enjoyable, it's a problem. And you do it too much and it spoils it a bit because you overdo it. And like, for example, excessive cannabis addiction. You go past the point where you've relaxed yourself from a hard day by having one joint, and then you may have a further 5 in one evening or more, and you've doped yourself up so badly that you can't do anything, you can't do your chores, you can't do your housework, you can't do your paperwork, your life admin work, you can't do the washing up, you can't be bothered to go and have a shower and wash, and it just gets to the point where nothing gets done. And also with the excessive cannabis addiction, it can start affecting your short-term memory and make you very docile, so you can't remember what someone just said to you, and you forget things that are important. And when people are talking to you, you're very slow and docile, and people actually do think that you're a bit special, like you're a bit thick or something. And it's not. It's because you're addicted to cannabis and you've doped yourself up beyond, well, recognition, really. And things like excessive cocaine abuse, what started off as something recreational that you enjoyed when you used to go out, you've started doing it all the time. It's burnt holes in your pocket, you're financially struggling, there's no money for anything else because you've spent all your money on cocaine. Now, unless you're really rich or something and that you've got an endless supply of money and lots of it, cocaine addiction's something that no one can afford. There's no money for food, there's no money for basic essentials because every last penny is getting spent on cocaine. Things like ketamine addiction. Ketamine addiction's more common than people realise, especially with young people now in the ketamine crisis, where it's so cheap and people get really off their heads with it, which is why they like it. But ketamine addiction, it's been brought to the attention in the news, in the newspapers, on the news, on the television, that is actually very damaging to the body. And after a few years of ketamine addiction, you could be facing very severe health problems, where it can damage your organs beyond repair. It can damage your bladder, and there are many other substances that people might be addicted to, but the bottom line is with the drug addiction is I offer help for adult survivors of child sex abuse, and that therapy that I offer is very beneficial and would probably take you about 6 months to a year to make a full recovery. I would never say to you, you must stop the drugs or alcohol or I won't give you therapy. You can't come to therapy unless you quit the drugs or alcohol. I would never take away your lifeline that you need. As long as you were sober when you had your therapy sessions and that you were in your right mind. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to work with you on that occasion. But as long as you were sober for your therapy sessions, and they can be done at a time when you know you'll be sober. If it's 7 o'clock in the morning, we can do that. Whatever helps you, I will help you. But even so, you don't actually, with hypnotherapy and the methods I use, you don't actually have to go into the reason for a drug addiction. It can actually be resolved without going into the cause and reason why. There are many ways that you can resolve drug addiction. without going into the sexual abuse or the abuse that you suffered, there are ways around it. And if you did feel that you were not able to address the abuse, but you wanted help with drug addiction, that can be done. So it's quite flexible like that. We don't have to talk about the abuse to work with the drug addiction. But ultimately, if you're using drugs to hide and cover and buffer you from the suffering that you have, that's something that can be addressed later when you're ready, when you feel ready to talk, when you're in a position where you feel that you can. I mean, for example, you might have a really stressful life. You might be going through a really hard time with work or with children or with a husband or wife. There might be problems in your marriage or relationship, or you might be in a position where you've been very depressed for a while and things, or your mental health or your physical health. And it might not be possible to talk about the abuse, but the addiction can still be worked on. So I encourage you that if you are in dire straits, desperate need, and you're crying out almost like, God help me, you know, you really need the help to stop this drug habit, and it's destroying your life. And you know, you just want to see a way forward, you just want a way out, but there's no way out. It's almost like there's no hope for you. No matter what you try, there's no hope. You'll never stop doing it. Well, there's one way out for people in that situation, especially those that enjoy the drugs and the alcohol. And that's a problem as well, because if you enjoy it, then as well as using it to help you with your feelings, if you enjoy it as well, it's even harder, because why would you want to deprive yourself of something that you enjoy so much? Well, for those sorts of addictions, it is almost like there's no hope for you, but there is a way out with that case, and manifest something greater. Manifest something greater in your life that means more to you than the drugs. Something that you could only achieve if you were to give up the drugs or the alcohol. Then you would have something much more positive that meant more to you, that you loved and were passionate about. And you manifest it. And I can teach you manifestation and the law of attraction and the universe and how to make that happen in your life. I've been working with manifestation since I was about 29, so it's about 15 years now that I've been working with manifestation, and I got myself out of a very horrible situation. I was in a home I lived in a house that was a rut, and I couldn't get rid of it because I owned the property. It was in too bad condition to be sold. No one wanted to buy it. I had to do a voluntary repossession in the end to get rid of it and start from nothing all over again. But with manifestation, I was able to find a job, a better home. I had a loving partner, and we were very much in love. And we got another home together that we both love. That's a secure home. I got back to work and had a job and had money, and I got myself driving again. I got a car. I went from being employed to self-employed and running my own business. And it took a while. I mean, it was a constant progression over time. And my life just got better and better over the years through using manifestation. And in the 15 years that I've been understanding manifestation, I have an extremely strong understanding of it. And the more you understand it, the better your life becomes, because you do it naturally. It's your state of consciousness, the way you tick, the way you function, the way that you think. It's life-changing with the way that you think and the way that you go about everything. Manifestation is a state of mind. Manifestation is, like they say with religion, it's a way of life that you adopt. And I now, well, I've got everything. There's nothing that I don't have that I could possibly need. And, you know, pretty much everything's perfect. But one thing that wasn't perfect in my life was my suffering from the childhood trauma. That I only made a full recovery about 6 months ago, when I was 43, because I found forgiveness. I found forgiveness for my 2 abusers that abused me. I found forgiveness. And it was about 6 months ago that I was able to do so and made a full recovery from the childhood abuse. And now, as well as having all these wonderful things I've manifested in my life, I have a loving partner that I've been with for 13 years. I now have the peace in my soul from finding that forgiveness. And I let go of my suffering. And it's my aim to help the millions of other survivors out there of childhood sexual abuse, because even though I've recovered from it and I'm happy now, I suffered for 26 years. 26 years of suffering, and 17 years before that of childhood suffering. So I suffered for 43 years, the first 43 years of my life. I suffered. And I've grown up, I've got old, and my life's just starting to begin. And I'd like it. What would make me really find peace and happiness and fulfillment is if my 26 adult years of suffering were not for nothing. If it wasn't a waste of life, if it wasn't for nothing, because that experience helps other survivors recover from their pain. If that 26 years of adulthood suffering gets put to a very worthwhile cause and use, if it's used in a very productive way, that would make me very happy. So I'm here for you. If you want help with the childhood sexual abuse, or even if it was emotional abuse or violence, physical abuse, like you were emotionally tortured and you were beaten, because I was also emotionally abused and tortured, where they tortured my mind, and I was also beaten, where they physically beat me, and I've been through all of it, and I'm here for you. I'm here to help you with whatever. If it's just the drugs, that's fine. If it's the sexual or the abuse as well, that's fine. And I know that I had about 20 years of therapy for my trauma. I had about 20 years of therapy, and I tried everything. And the only thing that relieved my suffering and allowed me to make a full recovery was to find forgiveness. Forgiveness. But that's another story. I've made a recovery now. And I'd like it if you let me help you so that you don't have to suffer with 20 years of therapy. I could help you recover in about 6 months to a year because I know how to do it. I know what works. I've done it on myself. I know what helps and what works. And I can help you in a very short space of time make a recovery from that. But if it's just the drugs, that's absolutely fine. We'll do just the drugs. So now what I'm going to do, because I'm looking at the timer on my dictaphone and I've been talking for over 21 minutes, I'm now going to do the hypnotherapy on resolving drug addiction for those that were sexually abused or abused in any way as a child. So we'll make a start. If you'd like to make yourself comfortable, whether you prefer to sit up and listen or lie down is absolutely fine. But uncrossing any hands, arms, legs or feet. And if you're sat up with your feet flat on the floor. And this is to allow circulation throughout your body when you are deeply relaxed. And you can have your eyes open or closed throughout the whole process is absolutely fine, or you can open and close them throughout as you wish. And just before we go any further, I'd like you to know that you will be in full control of your own mind throughout the whole process, and you can choose to accept or reject any of the suggestions and ideas that you hear me say to you. But I'd just like to emphasise something important on that matter is those suggestions and ideas that I will put across to you are made so you get the full maximum benefit of the hypnotherapy. And I have your best interests at heart, and I would never say anything inappropriate, and that the suggestions are all very helpful, positive and beneficial for you. So you can allow all of those suggestions to have full impact, allowing them to go deep in the back of your mind, causing a deep and lasting impression there. Okay. Now I trust that you are in a comfortable physical position that you find comforting and relaxing as you listen to each and every word you hear me say, because there is nothing of importance for you to do right now other than listen to the sound of my voice that will go with you wherever you go, however deep you drift. And you can begin to allow your conscious mind to shut down, shutting down and shutting out of any unnecessary thoughts, distractions. Because any thoughts right now are all unnecessary and you shut them out. No thoughts, no distractions, no chitter-chatter in the mind. You shut it out, you let it go. So you have no thoughts, just a calm, clear mind. And as we go on, your body physically will relax more and more as you become more and more physically comfortable. It will relax so much more to the point where physically you may not even be able to feel your body at all. Won't be able to feel your body at all. No awareness of your body at all, but your mind's very aware, very highly alert, very on the ball, and very alert, a heightened state of concentration and awareness where you are aware of every single word that is being said to you and you understand every single word that's being said to you. And you can appreciate each and every word that's being said to you, that you know after you've heard each and every word that it's beneficial, that you like it, what was said. And if that's the case, you allow it to go deep in the back of your mind, causing a deep, long-lasting reprogramming effect that reprograms all of your habits, behaviours in your subconscious mind, reprograms them for the better because you chose to accept that positive suggestion that you know it would better you, your mind, your personality, it will better your life, improve your mental minds. And those sorts of suggestions that I'm going to give you to allow you to choose whether you reprogram or not are the following. You have a problem with substances, or a substance on its own, or alcohol, or both. You have addiction problem, you suffer from addiction. And I'm going to ask you now to put to one side what the reasons and causes are for that addiction, because that doesn't matter. I ask your subconscious mind right now that's responsible for this addiction, I ask your subconscious mind to listen, to take on board what I'm going to say. Are you willing to find another way? I'm not suggesting that we take this addiction away. I'm not suggesting we remove it. I'm not suggesting we remove it. Because it's there for a very good reason, And that very good reason might be too powerful for us to resolve, but we're going to try and resolve it. And the only way you can do so is if you find something else that will work just as good. It has to work just as good. Like, for example, if the drug you're addicted to relaxes you and makes you feel numb from emotions, then we have to find an alternative that will do the same. For example, you might have a relaxing hot bath and change your clothes and put a nice bubble bath in the bath to make it more soothing and relaxing, and change into nice clean clothes to relax you. In order to numb your feelings, well, let's think of a technique that would numb your feelings. You could say to yourself, you could say to your feelings, right now, you're to stop it. You're to go away and leave me alone. Because what I will do for you, those feelings that you are coming out, and it's not an appropriate time, I don't want you to come out. If you go away now, if you stay away, I will come back to you and I will acknowledge you and we'll work it out and we'll deal with it. And if you make that promise to yourself in a little conversation, have a little word with yourself and say, feelings, not now, but I promise I will come back to you later, and you have to keep the promise. And when you get home from work at 5 o'clock in the evening, you go and have your bath and relax yourself and change clothes. Maybe go and have your tea and watch a bit of telly. And at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or just before bedtime, you go somewhere quiet where no one will disturb you. And you say, right, feelings, now's the time as promised. And you allow yourself to feel those feelings. But what you can do if you don't want those feelings, I'll show you a little technique. Put your dominant hands on your heart area, over your heart, and put your other hand over your foreheads. Place one hand on your heart in your chest and one hand on your forehead. And you say to yourself, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And when I count from 1 to 5, those hands will draw away from the body and take those feelings with them. But they will not move deliberately. They'll move subconsciously. Without you physically moving them, they will move subconsciously and slowly draw away. And then you count from 1 to 5. But before you do, you say to those hands that when they pull away from the body, they will rip the feelings out, so they are no longer in your heart or mind. They're detached into your hands. So you've counted from 1 to 5, the hands have drawn away, and the feelings are in your hands. And you hold your feelings by placing your palms facing upwards, away from your body. You're holding your feelings in both your hands. They're not in your mind or your heart anymore because you've detached them. And you're holding them in your hands. And with your mental rationale and your mental reasoning, you can now use your mind free from the emotion and the pain to say to yourself, right, well, you know, and as you do, you look at those hands. You look at the feelings in those hands. What do they feel like as you physically hold them? What do they physically feel like? What can you hear? Can you hear any words that they tell you? Can you hear any sounds of crying or any sounds of screaming or any sounds? And what do you see in your mind's eye? You either see it in your head or you see it in the hand. What can you see that your hand is holding? What can you see? And you may see colours. Maybe the feelings are a colour in your hand, and as you look at that hand, you see the aura and the colour of your hand. And this is all stuff that you can practice doing. But with those feelings you're holding in your hands, and you look at them, you acknowledge them, but you don't feel the pain because it's in your hands, not your head anymore, and not your heart. So you rationally deal with those feelings. You talk to those feelings in the hands, and you address the feelings. You say what you're going to do to resolve it. You comfort those feelings. You say things that will help and heal those feelings. Like you might say to those feelings, I want you to know that it wasn't your fault. There was nothing you could have done to stop it, change it, or do anything. It wasn't your fault. You were not to blame. You might tell those feelings, oh, I'm sorry to hear you felt that way. I'm so sorry, but you mustn't think like that. And you would rationale as to why they mustn't think like that. And you would be like your own mother, giving you that comfort and love and support to those emotions. Or you'd be, if you were a man, you might be your own father to comfort, love and support those. Or you would be a loved higher up person. Your higher self would comfort and love those feelings that needed the support. And then when you've done so, and you've done all of that, you say to the feelings in the hands, what colour are you now? What do you look like now? What do you sound like now? What do you feel like now that we've talked about all of this? And you allow the feelings in the hands to change, because they will change. The colours won't be the same. The sound, the feelings and the vision won't be the same. And as you see them resolved or a little bit better, if it's a little bit better, if it's a small improvement, that's fine. And if there's a small improvement of any kind, that you then say you're going to count from 1 to 5, and on the count of 5 the hand will return to the heart, the hand will return to the head as they were before, the forehead, and you transfer it back and put it back. You must put it back. And on your count of 5, your hands will automatically start drawing closer to the heart and the forehead. You will not be physically moving them, because your subconscious mind will move them for you. And you put back that healing that you gave to yourself. That's a way of dealing with feelings that you need to deal with. And if you don't feel comfortable about doing that technique, you come to me and I'll do it on you. It's quite straightforward. With self-hypnosis, with self-healing. And another thing, I'll touch a little bit on manifestation. You get a pen and paper and sit somewhere where you'll be left alone, or your tablet or your electronic device, whatever you want to write with. And you write down what you really, really want that would mean more to you than the drugs or the alcohol. Something that you could only have if you gave up the drugs and or alcohol. You choose something else. And I'll tell you now, I'm not going to go into manifestation, because on my YouTube page there are videos on manifestation. There's one on addiction that's called Manifest Something Greater. That will tell you how to manifest something greater. And there's one on manifesting money. There's two on there about manifestation, at least. There might be another one, but because this recording has now gone on for 40 minutes, but there's a lot that you can do to help yourself. A lot. I cannot tell you how long your journey of recovery will be, because it could take some work. Another thing you could do is, on your note paper or your electronic devices, write down all of the reasons why you must stop the drugs. Write down all of those very important reasons and keep that on you at all times. Keep it in your wallet, your handbag, or on your phone or your electronic device. And if ever you have urges to use drugs or alcohol, you read what you're reminding yourself about as to why you must stop. And I suggest to you, if you want to know more about manifestation, right, just look online. Watch Rhonda Byrne's film, The Secret. I watched that film about 500 times deliberately. I watched it hundreds of times deliberately, because every time you watch it there's something else that you've missed. It's a very comprehensive learning, and when you watch Rhonda Byrne's film The Secret, make sure no one's talking or disrupting you, and you listen to each and every word of the film in its whole entirety, that you don't miss any words or sentences, because it's very comprehensive and they only say each sentence the once. So if you miss a sentence, you miss a valuable part of it. That manifestation will not work unless you understand. Which is why I watched it about 500 times and I can recite the whole film. I then read the book, which was the sequel, called The Power, which is about the power of love. I then read the sequel to that called The Magic, which taught you gratitude. And I then read the sequel book called Hero, which wasn't as relevant, but if you watch Rhonda Byrne's film The Secret and you read the book The Power, and then there's The Magic, it's called The Magic, and that's a big commitment, because the whole book will take you about 3 months because of all the exercises that you have to do. But The Magic, that teaches you gratitude, it's life-changing. If you complete all of the work in the book that it tells you to do, you'll never be the same again, because your understanding on gratitude will just be so immense that you're very grateful and happy with your life. And if you're grateful, you get more. If you read all of her books and start by watching her film, that will turn your life around, and you'll manifest that greater thing that you want, that means more to you than the drugs. If you study manifestation, listen to some of my YouTube videos on it that explain it. If you research quantum physics, the law of attraction, educate yourself about it, you will understand manifestation. And I hope that in my videos I explain it well, but it's such a big understanding to get your head around. If there's one aspect of it that you're missing, manifestation will not work. You have to understand the whole of it in its entirety, which is why my understanding developed over 15 years, and I have a very strong understanding of it to the point where I live and breathe it, and it's a natural way I live my life without even thinking about it that I'm doing it. But yeah, manifestation is not, it's not rubbish, it's not make-believe, it's not fantasy. It's not, oh, I don't believe in all that rubbish. It is real. I'm telling you, it's real. And if you understand it, you'll achieve much greater things than the drugs or the alcohol, and you'll move forward with your life with success and great achievements, and you'll be very successful in everything you do if you understand manifestation. So there's that, as well as the technique I explained about touching your heart in your forehead, the heart in your chest, the heart in your mind, and detaching those feelings so that you can talk to them and deal with them. And if you do that work with yourself, and your subconscious mind knows that you are keeping your promise when you say, please go away, not now, feelings, emotions, stop it, I will promise I will deal with you later, as long as you keep your promises. And every night on a daily basis, you keep your promise and spend that time with yourself. I once saw a Jehovah's Witness little bit of paper that come through the door, and I'm not religious, so I don't worship Jesus or anything, and it said time with God is important. Time with God is important. Well, that is what you're doing, because God is you. It's your higher self. It's your consciousness. God is you. God is in your consciousness, your connection to the universe. I believe that God is the creator of the universe, and it's God that governs everything that happens in the universe. And I believe that our consciousnesses are all connected as one big force of the universe. And we're all connected, and we're all connected to the universe by our consciousness, and that God is governing the whole of the universe. So God is your higher self. You don't have to worship Jesus unless you really want to, but I believe in God. And that little technique where you take yourself off to have time. Maybe the Jehovah's Witness thing on the bit of paper where it said time with God is important, maybe that's quite true. And you have your time with yourself. You have your time with yourself. A lot of Christians will say, oh, God will help me. Well, maybe that's true. That if you connect with your inner higher self and you give yourself that time to be with yourself and your spiritual self, your soul, your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, you give yourself that justice and love and attention and comfort to yourself, that you deserve. And to forgive yourself of anything you feel that you may have resentment with yourself over, or guilt, or anything that holds you back, that you forgive yourself, and that if you realise and understand what you did was wrong in any way, that you may have done something, and that you have contrition and remorse, and you forgive yourself and allow yourself to have that forgiveness, because forgiveness is due where contrition is shown. If there was anything that you've ever done wrong, I just want you to know that with the abuse, you didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing you could have done to stop it or change it. You were a child and you were not in control of your own life. You were governed and dictated to by the elders in your life. It was only when you become of age and turned into an adult, when you become of age, that's when your life becomes your own choosing. Because when you become of age, when you become an adult, we are not victims of circumstances. When we become an adult, we are in charge of our own lives and our own destiny. Because I just want to tell you about the now, about how the now is how we are not victims of circumstances, as well as manifestation. Because with the now, the present moments, what you are experiencing right now, there is only now exists. The past doesn't exist anymore because it's only held in people's memories, and half the time those memories aren't exactly what really happened, because memories get distorted and the memory is just a similar version of what happened. It wasn't what actually did happen. And those memories are not what is happening right now, so they're not real anymore. They only exist in people's memories. Even as every second goes by and the current second becomes a second ago, 2 seconds ago, 3 seconds ago, a minute, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year ago, anything in the past from 1 second ago onwards is not what is happening right now. There is only now. Only now exists. And the future has not happened yet. The future doesn't exist because you worrying about something, or fearing something that's going to happen or go wrong, well, that's rubbish and untrue, because the future hasn't happened yet. The future is based on everything you are doing right now, in this very present moment, and every future second of now that goes by, every future second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year that goes by is all based on what you are doing exactly right now in this very present moment. Because everything you do right now creates every future second of now. And right now you are choosing to listen to my therapy, which is going to help you and make you a lot better, so that from now on, as soon as this therapy finishes, which will be very soon, every future second of now in your life will be based on what you are doing in that very present moment. So you choose something good, you choose something productive, you choose something that'll make you happy. And as every second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year of your life that goes by, and you're constantly progressing, manifestation as well, your life will just become so wonderful, exactly what you want. You'll be happy, you'll have joy, and you'll have the life that you deserve, because we are not victims of circumstances. We create our own destiny. Now, there's something to be said about destiny, because I believe in manifestation, that we make our own destinies, but I do think that there is a little bit truth in that people are destined for certain things. But I believe that the outcome is open as to how it happens. The outcome is open, but inevitable. Like I believe it was destiny that I suffered for 26 years of my life, because my destiny was to help others. I believe it was meant to be my 26 years of suffering. I believe it was meant to be. And the outcome of me helping others has been destined all along, but the outcome was open but inevitable. I did wonder exactly when I'd be helping others. And it happens to be that it's taken me 20 years of undergoing therapy myself before I'm now actually going to be helping others with sexual abuse. I thought it would happen years ago, but it hasn't. And at some points I gave up and thought, well, perhaps I was just making it up and being silly and that it was never going to happen. But 20 years on, I became a therapist when I was 22 years old, and that was 22 years ago. And it's only now that I am actually going to be helping people with sexual abuse and drug addiction. And I know why it took 22 years, because I didn't know back then what I know now. And what I know now is that I've made a full recovery from my trauma, from my addictions. I've made a full recovery. And you're going to do the same. And it's not going to take you 20 years, because you're going to help yourself with the tips, advice and the methods that I've explained. You're going to try and help yourself. And if you need any more help, you come to me, because I'll make sure you don't have to have 20 years of therapy. I can help you in about 6 months to a year maximum. And you should have made a recovery in that time. Because it's my aim that no one has to have 20 years of therapy like what I did. That no one has to go through that. That it takes you a lot less time. A lot less time. That's my aim. That you have as little fuss and as little aggravation as possible, and that it goes swiftly, smoothly, and the job gets done in a very copeable, acceptable and reasonable time frame. Because you've got a busy life. You don't want to spend the next 20 years having to sort this problem out. And with the right help that I can offer you, it won't take you that long, because I'll make sure it doesn't. I'll make sure it happens that you make a recovery a lot quicker, in a fraction of the time. I am here for you. You come to me, and I will do my very best to ensure that you have a speedy recovery that you deserve, because you've suffered enough. And I can totally relate to you that, well, basically suffering is a blimmin' hindrance and a right inconvenience. It really is an inconvenience. Like, it's the most inconvenient thing ever when you just want to get on and have a happy life, you know. Well, anyway, I've been talking for an hour now, so I'm going to end this hypnotherapy. But just before I wake you up, I just want to leave you on one final positive note. You're gonna get through this, okay? You're gonna succeed. You're gonna do it. I can't tell you how long your journey is gonna be of recovery, but between me and you, we'll get that speedy recovery and we'll get this sorted. And you will be the one that gets it sorted. It's you that's gonna do it. You'll be the one that helps yourself. Okay. In a few moments' time, I'm going to awaken you. You'll hear me count from 1 to 10. You'll become more and more awake with each ascending number. By the count of 8, you would have opened your eyes, if not already. And by the count of 10, you'll be fully wide awake. And this hypnotherapy will be terminated. 1, 2, 3, waking yourself up. 4, 5, 6, more and more awake. 7, 8, opening your eyes now. 9 and 10, fully wide awake.